let's do an audio check. Can you hear me there in the room? This is Commissioner Calvi. Just checking to see if you can hear. Commissioner Bloomer, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, good.
I think they're still muted in the room. So we'll just wait.
We talked on the phone that morning.
Okay. We should be able to hear Kevin and.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Worse than that, we can see you.
Yeah, worse than that for sure. You'll get no argument from me on that one. What I can't do though is see, for some reason, I'm still having trouble seeing everybody in the room. I can hear in the room just fine. And then Commissioner Bloomer, I could hear you a moment ago. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. So in the room, do we have or is everybody present? I should ask.
Yes.
Yes.
We are.
Well, then let's go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Oklahoma County Budget Board, a special meeting. I will go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Freeman,
Here.
Mr. Mon,
Here.
Mr. Bloomer,
Here.
Mr. Hooten,
Present.
Mr. Warren,
Aye.
Mr. Stein,
Here.
and Sheriff Taylor.
Here. Here.
Very good. All members of the Budget Board are present. First item would be a discussion and possible action to set a date, time, and place of this meeting to reconvene in the event technical difficulties arise. It can't be resolved within 30 minutes. Does anybody have a motion to that effect?
Motion to reconvene at 2:00 today.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. We're told we have to call the full roll, so we'll start. Mr. Freeman.
Yes, with one question, there is an already scheduled retirement board at 2:30.
Yes, sir. That's why I did it.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Mon,
Yes.
Mr. Bloomer,
Yes.
Mr. Hooten,
Aye.
Mr. Warren,
Aye.
Mr. Stein,
Aye.
Sheriff Taylor.
Aye.
And I will vote aye. So that's taken care of. Notice this meeting was properly posted on Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Commissioner Mon, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner. We have our consent agenda, which is items 2 and 3. Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll call the roll. Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mon,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloomer,
Yes.
Mr. Hooten,
Yes.
Mr. Warren,
Aye.
Mr. Stein,
Aye.
and Sheriff Taylor.
Yes.
And I will vote aye as well. Motion carries for the consent agenda. Next item is item 4 regarding a capital projects fund for jail elevators in the amount of $374,988. That includes a insurance proceeds of $253,375, it appears, and then the balance to come from capital projects. Mr. Monroe, are you present in the room?
I am.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Monroe about this? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. We'll call the roll. Mr. Freeman,
Aye.
Mr. Mon,
Aye.
Mr. Bloomer,
Aye.
Mr. Hooten,
Aye.
Mr. Warren,
Aye.
Mr. Stein,
Aye.
Sheriff Taylor,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. Motion carries. Next item is item 5, and this is a new line item in the capital projects regular fund 2010 account to repair courthouse elevators concrete ledge covering in the amount of $130,000, and that's the amount requested as needed to be allocated. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Monroe?
Concrete ledge.
Yeah, let me explain. The courthouse elevator hoistways are separated by cement beams that go from the front of the hoistway to the back. They're horizontal ledges which hold dirt, debris, anything that happens to come through the elevator hoistways. The Department of Labor and the state elevator inspector has begun to enforce the rule that there are no horizontal surfaces on which debris can land and stay, or on which people can stand. And this has come to us some months ago. Now's a good time to make those repairs. What they're talking about doing is a ledge, a horizontal surface with a back wall here, and simply a metal covering that would protect the ledge from accumulation of debris.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Question. But the dirt and crap's still gonna accumulate there, it's just gonna be doing it on a different kind of material now, right?
No, it will actually, anything that comes through will slide down and accumulate in the pit where the pits can be cleaned.
That's the elevators below the pit and they would land on top of the elevator.
That's right, they'll need to be cleaned regularly. Again, this is a mandate from the state elevator inspector.
Certainly makes sense to me.
Actually, it doesn't, but it's what we have to do. Having the ledge kept it from falling on top of the elevators, which can cause all kinds of problems and gears, cables, and everything else. And now we're gonna have it fall on top of the elevator, so it's the new rules of the game.
That's right.
Press my motion.
We have a motion and a second. Are there further questions or discussion? Go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mon,
Aye.
Commissioner Blumert,
Aye.
Mr. Hooton,
Aye.
Mr. Warren,
Aye.
Mr. Stein,
Aye.
Sheriff Taylor,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. Motion carries. Okay, next item, item 6, discussion and possible action to approve the use of potential unexpended funds regarding the sheriff's lease of the Kraus building for moving expenses. Are there any questions?
I have a question. This was appropriated to be paid for, to use as rent, correct? But now we're going to use it for something else?
Let me add something. Originally, it was to cover rent from April, May, and June. Since that obviously isn't going to happen, we issued POs today for the month, the rent for May and June. And that's being done today. So we would like to ask support if we could use some of this money to help counter some of the expense of moving.
Would it be better to, because I would support your moving expenses at the time they were needed, but wouldn't it be better just to wait until we see what they are and then vote on it, rather than move that money now? Or,
Well, I'm just trying to keep moving. The employees working for the trust are saying they're going to take over July 1. So hopefully we can start moving when everything's done in that building. We could actually start moving sometime in May, hopefully, or by the end of May.
Are there further questions?
So Sheriff, this just says that of the 77,000 that we allocated to use for your rent at the last budget board meeting, anything left over, assuming you're not going to need all of that because we're already halfway through April, this is just saying that you're wanting to use that money toward moving expenses.
We issued POs today for May 1st for rent through June 30th. I think there's 2 POs. They're both in the amount of $25,000 some odd dollars. We're just asking if we don't use it for moving expense, it would be returned to the county. We're just asking to use what's left over to help us meet some moving expenses. Hopefully we'll be moving towards it by the end of May. Second.
Okay, there is a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and call the vote. Mr. Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mon,
Aye.
Mr. Blumert,
Aye.
Mr. Hooton,
No?
Mr. Warren,
Aye.
Mr. Stein,
Aye.
Sheriff Taylor,
Aye.
and I will vote no. Motion carries. Next item is, are there any board comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
No, I do have a comment.
Oh, yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Prior to our just getting started just now, Commissioner Blumert, you almost fell out of your chair. Do you have a seatbelt on?
Yes, I do.
Good, because you went way back. I have no comment.
Okay, any other comments?
That's it. There she goes.
I have a comment.
I should ask, are there any serious comments?
Oh, serious.
Last week, and for the past few weeks, this technology that we've been able to use is amazing, and the Zoom technology for staff meetings has been amazing, being able to keep in touch with all the staff. My concern is, does anyone have any input on when we expect the Supreme Court to make a decision so we can start the process of getting back into the swing of things? And I'd be happy to open it to anybody that has a response.
2 o'clock, I'm meeting with the judges. We're actually meeting, we've met pretty much every day last week. We do have a plan together. We're not quite ready to release it, but we do have a plan pretty much a day. Civil trials at this point in time, as to Judge Gurrich's order, although she'll have to issue another order to open, is on the 15th, so that would start on the 18th. And we will fully staff the county clerk, the court clerk's office on the first week of the, I believe it's 11th.
Just as a point of order, we're not supposed to be doing what we're doing. Gretchen is shaking her head.
Sorry, Gretchen, I didn't see you. You're so little. I saw the head shake and I had to stop.
When I'm not here, it's okay?
Yes.
I'll shut up.
So we'll suspend with that further, those
As a-
comments.
As a
Is there any-
comment,
are there-
we do have a plan.
Okay, are there any other comments? Seeing none, is there now a motion to adjourn?
There's a motion and a second, yeah.
Okay, we'll call the roll. Mr. Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mon,
Aye.
Mr. Bloomer,
Aye.
Mr. Hooton,
Aye.
Mr. Stein,
Aye.
Mr. Warren,
Aye.
Sheriff Taylor,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Commissioner, be careful getting out of the chair. That was Larry's fault. Oh, yeah. Not mine. That was Larry's fault. Whoever asked you. FRB here then.
Okay. That's what I always thought. And then that last one, it sounded more like permission.
Yeah.